Hey everybody, Scott Towell here on this fine Saturday afternoon, Saturday. Uh, I wanted to go through some print competition results that I recently had, and then I want to go ahead and talk about my submissions for the upcoming print competition, which is in 4 days. So I need to go through and kind of figure out what I'm going to enter. And at the same point, I thought I'd discuss some of the strengths and weaknesses of the different images I was considering, why I may not enter them, and other reasons behind, say, holding an image back. Now, there's two major competitions that I enter. One is the Northern Illinois PPA chapter, which is held 3 times a year. And then of those, the best of the best will go on to districts for PPA and then to the international print competition. So this last year international print competition, I did pretty well. And we'll talk about those first so you get an idea of what I entered and how it did. So you kind of get a grasp of the level of imagery needed for competition. Now, I would say a couple things. First of all, if you are a print competition judge or aspire to be a judge anytime soon, please don't watch this video because you have to recuse yourself from voting because you can't know the maker. And obviously that causes problems if there's not enough judges to go around, then the image is disqualified. So that's a terrible thing to have happen. And I haven't seen that happen, but theoretically it can. And secondly, I'm going to talk about these images from the standpoint of what I remember the judges discussing and so on. So some of this is going to be obviously pertinent to that day and those judges, and it can vary wildly as we find in print competition because some people maybe had a bad day and it reflects on their scoring, which is unfortunate, but art is subjective. So there is a bit of that. But good imagery should always do well, right? It may not go all the way to where it should have gone, but getting it over the hump for an 80, which is a merit, and then over a 95, which is called a loan. Now, any image that scores over an 80 also can be given a loan. A loan means 2 merits, by the way. It's an old term from when the imagery used to actually be loaned out to different chapters as it would travel around the United States. That doesn't happen anymore due to more of a digital nature these days, but it's still considered by that terminology. So I'm going to go through some of the images that I used and entered and then kind of discuss how they did. So for print competition last year for the Northern Illinois, I did very well. I had a big pile of trophies I brought home, including some first place, best to show, and so on. But what I want to talk about now is the upcoming one, as well as the international print competition. So the international print competition happened a few months ago, and I want to talk about those. So one of these is this leading lines image, which I loved and was holding back from anyone seeing it, which is one of those things with print competition. You kind of want to keep your best close to the vest. Hey, that rhymed. And this one did very well. It had a loan. So obviously, two things that we really can't fix in post-production, and that is the storytelling and the impact. So we can take time to go back and fix little nuances with imagery and so on. But when it comes to the storytelling and the impact, those are very difficult to change later. So if it's a great picture, but it doesn't have any storytelling and it doesn't have any impact, it's not going to go very far. There are 12 elements, and those are the two that I kind of call the trunk of the tree. Like you could have the best lighting in the world, but if it's just a boring subject, it's not going to fare well. You need to kind of accomplish all 12 parts of that. So this one did very well. It was alone, and it was my kind of the one I was really, hoping to do well on, and I'm very happy that it did. This is a doll I did of my daughter. So I've done a lot of dolls where I basically take and manipulate an image and create something different. Now, one of the goals of print competition is to become a better photographer, right? And if you don't enter print competition, I would instill upon you to do so. It doesn't hurt. It's all anonymous, so if you don't do well, no one's going to know. But the feedback you get from the judges is huge and can really help you improve. And I have to say, of all the things I've done for my photography, print competition is the thing that has helped it grow more than anything else. Because you're getting a great feedback from judges who've been trained to judge imagery. Now, if you ask a mom about the blurry picture of her kid, she's going to love it because it's her kid. That doesn't help you as a photographer to grow. So if you're looking for a lot of yes men type of mentality, then don't enter print competition. But if you want to be a better photographer, and you'll have to have a little bit of thick skin, which at times we all get frustrated with this whole thing. But You will learn so much. And what I wanted to do with this stream was kind of talk about my images, talk about what the judges said, and then we're going to pick through my upcoming portfolio and pick. I have to go in with 8 images. That's the full book for the. I forget the term at the moment, but that's what our case. That's what I'm looking for. A full case of 8 images. So this one here of my daughter Alexi with her French horn, this one did not merit. And unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of feedback, but I will tell you what I think is weak about the image. By the way, judges are not allowed to zoom in on images, so they are what they are, but it is 4,000 pixels on the long edge. So it is quite large, and you're looking at it here with this gray border on their screens. It's full screen, and these images need to be sharp. So this image is tack sharp. Even in this doll form, there's a lot going on here, and it's a very big picture. What I think held it back is that it was a very early on. It was one of the first images of the whole day, and I don't think the judges were warmed up. And unfortunately, somebody's got to do that. Like, I think it was actually the first image out of the gate, and it's just what it is. So I might actually re-enter this at some point because I like it. The only negatives I see with this are that in general, we don't want something white to touch the edge of the canvas because it draws the eye, because it's very strong contrast created by the light and then the dark here. So that's probably the negative, the biggest negative with this. But if I did capture her whole elbow in here, now she's smaller in the frame, and I just didn't like it as much. So I might actually crop this in even further at some point. But I love the image. I think it's very playful and fun. And again, being unique and that impact when the picture comes up and the judges are like, wow, or if there's a live audience, which happens at a lot of events like Shutterfest, for example, where those images pop up and you hear the audience take a breath and they're like, oh, that means that you've got impact. And that's the big thing. And now a lot of people will tell you too that if you can make a judge cry or a judge laugh, those are also very big points. So the same thing goes though through your regular portraiture too for clients. If you can make a client cry or laugh at a picture, you've done very well, right? So don't just kind of think, well, that's just for print competition. Those emotions also work in the buyer's market. This one was probably my biggest disappointment in that I really love the image. Like, there's nothing wrong with it in my mind. I was kind of surprised it did not merit. There's great lighting. Everything is not, there's nothing blown out, and there's no area where there's a lack of detail in the shadows. Those are 2 things that are very low-hanging fruit. And if your image is blown out or you have areas that are completely black in the shadows, don't enter it. It's not gonna merit. I mean, guaranteed it's not gonna merit. As a professional photographer, you should have control over those things. And there's no argument there. Like, I completely believe in that, and I firmly believe that if you can't master the lighting, then the rest of the image is kind of going to suffer. So this one did not merit, and I did not get information as to why. It did do very well locally, though, in the Northern Illinois group. So I wasn't unhappy with that. Let me see what the score was on this one. It scored an 87. So a 92, an 85, and an 85. And again, no real good feedback from the judges as to why it did not score higher. I just think that it's kind of hard to figure out why she's on the stairs and why she's just laying there. And a lot of judges will say, well, I don't understand why, and that's a bad excuse, but it's one. Hey, Scott, how you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream, and thanks again for your support to the channel again this month. Yeah, if you did not know, almost every image we're going to go over today has been retouched in a live stream here on this channel. So if you want to go back and look at those, they're all in the member archive. So for $5, you have access to all of them. It's not $5 per image, it's $5 for all of them. And I give out a texture every month, and you have access to all those past textures as well. So keep that in mind as we look through these. If you want to know how something was done or retouched, they've probably all been done on this channel at one point. I talked about this one before in a previous live stream. The judging, I got nailed on something stupid. I like an atmosphere, like a feeling of kind of volume. So if you watch the retouching of this image on a channel here, you'll note that we put a bit of a kind of an overlay with some dust, and it creates these little particles here, which I really enjoy. The judges thought those were issues that I did not remove. So my little foray into adding texture actually cost me the merit in this image. I think this would have done well otherwise, but unfortunately, it just did not appeal to the judges. Now, Northern Illinois, it did very well. It did an 83, so it merited there, but at the national level or international level, it did not do well. So a little bit of follow-up on that. Let's talk about this one as well. We retouched this one on the channel. It's kind of an adventure, and this one did merit. So we ended up with a merit here. I had a score of 82. I had one judge who scored it a 78. We always have one judge who's the low judge. we jokingly call that person the Russian judge. And like when you watch ice skating in the Olympics and there's all, 10, 10, 10, and there's the 4 at the end, and it's always the Russian judge. So we've kind of called him the Russian judge. No offense to Russians, but it was just kind of this long-standing thing. And yeah, this one that merited locally but did not do well nationally, and the reason, or internationally, and this was the opposite reason of my daughter's French horn. This was the very last image of the entire competition. So after 4 or 5 days of judging, it should not have mattered. The judges, even if they were tired, should have given it a fair shake, but unfortunately, it just did not merit. Now, images that don't merit don't mean not necessarily it's a bad thing. It means they're still up for re-entry. So I can put this one back in the international print competition because I may say, hey, a different day, different set of judges, it may do well. But even though it didn't merit once, doesn't mean I can't use it again. So I'm going to put this one back, I think, into distribution because I like it. It's got impact, it's got storytelling, and it's kitschy. It's got all these strange little things going on with it. There are a few minor things that I'm going to fix before I re-enter it, but this was one we were touched on the live stream as well, and I enjoy it. It's a really interesting image. So we're almost done here with the review, and then we're going to talk about images that are coming up that I'm going to put in, and I'll even kind of take suggestions from the chat here if you want to chime in and tell me what you think. This one here is more of a painterly image, and if you look at it, it is actually painted. Like we have a lot of digital paint going on in here. Very fun image to create. I did not do this one on a live stream, but this one did not merit. It got a 79, which is the worst score you can get because it's right on the edge, and it's unfortunate. And I had feedback that was valid as to some things that I need to change, but I don't know if the image is strong enough impact-wise to do well. So I'm just gonna have to face the fact that it's a decent image, and it's what I call a green merit, meaning that the client will probably pay a lot of money for the image. They're very happy with it, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do well in print competition. Okay, and now let's talk about upcoming imagery. So I'm going to ask that if you are a print judge that you stop watching at this point, and we're going to move on and talk about some of the images that we've retouched on the channel and my consideration and my concerns about entering them in competition. So first of all, let's start with kind of the newer images first. So I'm just going to work backwards from images we've retouched here on the channel. And we're going to start with this one of Jennifer, which we did just a couple days ago. And this is what I ended up with as the final retouch for this. Now, obviously, we can't have a signature in it. All images must be anonymous. And a lot of judges know Jennifer's face by now and the fact that I work with her quite often, but there are a couple other people that also work with her. So I'm not so much worried about them guessing who the maker is, but you can't make it obvious. You can't come out and say, hey, this is my image, because you have your haters and you have those who love your work, but in a print competition, you're supposed to be judging the image, not the maker. So this one is a good image. It won't do well in print competition, I fear, although we do have good separation from the leg to the background. This is probably one of the big areas that kills a lot of people in print competition, is that you have figure to ground, meaning the figure should be able to be discernible from the background. And we have that here. So lighting the background a bit helped with separation of her hair from the background, for example. And then we don't have to worry about the skin side, of course, and the chair all looks good. I think that this image might merit. The skin retouching we did looks great, and I have no concerns there. It's all about impact. It has storytelling, I guess, kind of. But does it have impact? It's okay. And that's really, again, that trunk of the tree for scoring is let's start there, right? If the impact and storytelling aren't there, the rest of the image is going to suffer. And we have great lighting. I'm very happy with that. The pose is good. We're not seeing the backs of hands or the fronts of hands. All that looks great, but I think that it's probably going to suffer from impact. Now, it's not a bad image. So if I'm starving at the end there and I can't find the 8 that I need, this is one I could feel pretty confident to enter, and it might merit. So it's one of those I got to roll the dice on and see what I'm going to do. I have this one here of Haley. We also retouched on the channel. I liked it because it's got a really interesting treatment and it's different. Again, doing something that's unique and interesting also is a good thing, right? We always want to try and break out of what we have, just everyone else is doing, pictures of dogs and cats and kids and what have you. I like a little bit more interesting picture. I don't think this would do very well in print competition. There are some hairs that go across her face here that are obvious, and I could probably remove those. But the rest of the image is fine. It's not wow. It has some impact, but it doesn't have a ton of storytelling. Technically, it's fine. It looks good. The lighting is well done. It has a lot of color and a lot of pop, but I don't think it would merit it. It might park itself right around 77, 78, which is fine, but not worthy of entering, I don't think. We have this image of Jennifer that we also retouched on the channel. You're going to hear me say retouch on the channel. We do a lot of retouching on this channel. And this one is very interesting. It has, again, great lighting. It's got impact. It's got storytelling. And the lighting is good. All these little flecks and so on, I like. I think they help add atmosphere. I probably have to remove this one specifically, just because if you kind of let your eye wander around, it will end up here, and we want to remove that. So that's pretty easy to remove. This glare of light here also may give some concern to the judges. Maybe. It's one of those things I'll probably hear about it, but maybe not. I like the pose. The colors in here all look good. We don't have any strange haloing, which can happen when we are adding a background that's obviously not there because she was shot on just paper in the studio. If you want to fail at print competition, try and leave a halo around all the way around your image, and you're going to find that you get just destroyed every single time. And finding these is not that hard. You use the solar curve. There's a download and pretty much every video live stream I do for you to grab my solar curve, and the solar curve really helps you see that halo. The judges will spot it. Like, they're very good at it. So don't think you're going to get away with it. This one's okay. Like, I think this one might merit. It's one of those I'm right on that cusp of putting in the competition. I like it because it has the storytelling and impact. And then we just have to deal with, again, little things like this dot here and maybe this dot here have to come out. They're just not going to work well. Maybe this one as well. But I like these bigger ones. So Ralph says, "Oh, sweet someone destroying others' work with words." No, these are my images, but yes, watching someone destroy your work is pretty awesome. Print competition, you learn a lot. Let's do this one of Haley. We retouched this one on the stream as well. I think we did. Maybe not. I don't remember. But I hand painted these backgrounds. So these backgrounds, by the way, are free every month. I give one of these to everyone supporting the channel. So not only do you get access to all of these retouching of these videos we did, but you also get all these textures. There's probably, I think, 10 or 12 textures out there, and you get them all for $1 $5 month thing. So you binge watch them all, get all the textures and then leave if you want to. But I hope you don't do that. But this one in Haley has it has storytelling. It doesn't have that much impact. It's all about the butt, obviously, and the hair. And it's a good image, but I don't think it's worthy of competition. So I'm probably not going to enter that one. We did this one on the live stream as well. You watch me wrangle with this one quite a bit, is to try and figure out what I wanted to do with it. I think it ended up being really interesting, very impactful, tons of impact. In storytelling, sure. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Someone could be like, what am I looking at exactly? Is she seeing something? Is this a visor? It's like, let the judges play that game. I'm not going to guess. We just kind of played with the image and created something. I think the things on this image that would kill me are the fact that her stance isn't quite straight. So you see she's canted a little bit to her left side. And this rest of this image is so symmetrical that I think that this little bit of cant might be a problem. I could probably liquefy this and fix it. And if I were very serious about entering this image, I love this effect though, and it's got a ton of impact. It's got storytelling. It shows the lighting, but this is the only part of this that bothers me. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but in my mind, I'm always trying to shoot for alone. Like I want this to be a 95 or better. Like I really want to hit it hard. I think that this image might do well. So we're going to throw it in there. I think it's going to be one of the 8 we're going to put out there. This image of Haley we retouched on the channel again. Really interesting. I love the outfit she's wearing. You know, chainmail lingerie. Sure, that's a great combination. And I think again, this is a hand painted background, and then we added the overlay with the leaves to just kind of add some visual interest to the image. And I like it. I think that that might remove a couple of leaves, like perhaps this one here, and maybe this one. The reason I'm picking on these specific ones is because they're a little smaller, but they should be within focus. Like if you look at the depth of field for the image, a leaf that is smaller or, you know, appropriately sized that's in plane with the camera should be in focus. Like for instance, this one. This leaf should be in focus, but it's not. So that kind of hints heavily that it's not, that was not there, that it was added later. Same with this one here, perhaps these couple. So just kind of my thoughts on parts of the overlay that I'd have to remove for believability. But otherwise, I think you could kind of say, well, yeah, no, it makes sense that these leaves are dropping and that looks good. The thing that always kills you if you have a face in it is, do you have catch lights in the eyes? And I do, but they're not very strong. So I would probably have to add a little bit more pop to these catch lights in order to make that happen, because that is one of the first things they're going to look for is if it's got a face, does it have catch lights? And that's just one of those laws of nature. I do like the image though, so I think aside from editing a couple of these leaves out, it's good to go with obviously the inclusion of the catch lights. So that one I think is going to go in there as well. This one is kind of fun. This is more my retro. I call it retro because it looks like something you'd see in the 80s, right? We did this one on the stream and we played with it quite a bit. She was super pregnant. She had twins, by the way. All are healthy. If you, by the way, are a Capture One user, I did a whole portrait retouching series here on the channel where I retouched this image only in Capture One. I did not use Photoshop. And this is Carly, so it's the same face. So she volunteered her head for that experiment. I think I like this image quite a bit. It's got impact, it's storytelling, it's different. I do have to remove a couple of little things though, like I don't want these to cross over in front of her leg and cross the backgrounds. Like this one here would be removed. This one here looks like a mark on her skin. That'd have to go. And same with this one here. I like the ones in her hair, and I like the overall playfulness of the image. I don't like the fact that I see a repeat here where we mirrored the background. So I'll have to go in there and kind of edit that a bit. But overall, I think this is a really interesting image, and it's got a lot of impact. It's got storytelling. It's different. And I just have to come up with a kitschy title at that point. That's the next game to play, is titling the images for impact. But I like this one enough that I think I might enter it. We have this one. So retouch this one live on the stream as well. And I love this image. This is probably one of my favorite images so far from the last few months of shooting. Really cool. So great storytelling, great impact. It has the potential to go lone, you know, very strongly go to lone. What are the problems with it? Well, first of all, this piece of cloth here is not playing the game, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So this, I would have to edit this out in a way that it's, you know, well done, because again, every little nuance to this image is going to get picked apart. So I'll probably rebuild this part of the hoop and then leave this strip in here. And then again, I don't tend to care for things that are white that touch the edge of the canvas, but because we have this big one over here, I'm not really going to worry about the little ones. I did kind of fade these out here, and I may attempt that same treatment here just to kind of force the eye into this area of the image. But overall, I really love this image. It has a lot going for it. And again, this one was one of those, I think it was a 2.5 hour live stream. This was a long one. And it was because I argued with where I wanted to take it. And it's one of those things where I will get on the stream and we'll just start throwing stuff at different images to see what kind of art we can make. I don't go into it with a predisposition to go, well, this is exactly where I know I want to take it. I'm not really sure in some cases. And in this one, the background is really what pushed it. So this is one of those hand painted backgrounds that's free to all channel members. And I just stretched it and put it in there, and it had this entirely new feel that came out of it that looked very painterly. And then once I saw that, I ran with it. And I'd say in the last 20 minutes is when the image really came in. Otherwise, it's just me correcting the fabrics, adding in this piece of fabric here. I do have a little bit of discoloration here. So whenever we do print competition entries, we will zoom in at 100% and we will take our time and look at every square inch of the entire canvas. Because we don't want to have some sort of dust speck or something. Any sensor dust is an immediate disqualification pretty much. So we want to take our time and look at the entire image up close like that. Love this image. So this one is one of mine. I'm going in strong with this one. I feel this one's going to be very well received. At least I hope so. A little on the darker side, I had this one I did back in Halloween, around Halloween time. And to me, this has a really great feel to it. It's a little on the blue side, so I'm going to have to go back and recolor grade it. But luckily, color grading is our last step. So if you watch this stream, that's the last thing we do. So it's very easy for me to lift it, this blue. It's just one of those things that I remember playing with in the stream and couldn't decide. In fact, we made 2 versions. We made this one as well, where I just took all the color out and ran with kind of a colorized or tinted black and white. I didn't care for this one as much, although I did keep it around, but I really like the colored one. The outfit is great. There's impact. Obviously, beautiful woman. There's storytelling here. I think there's a lot to love about this image. So I'm going to enter this one. This is a strong one. I do have to be aware of that I may not have detail here in the shadows, and I need to look at bringing up those details a bit, which of course is the first thing we typically do when we're doing retouching. We always pay attention to our exposure first, because when we're in RAW, we have more power, more capability. And once we leave RAW, we lose a lot of that. So I want to make sure that if I can affect the exposure, I want to do so right then and there. So unfortunately, if I did not, I think I darkened this image after we came out of Photoshop. Because typically when I go into Photoshop, I want it detail in all these areas, but I'll have to check. So these details, that's the only area that I'm concerned here with this image. All right, so how many we got now? We've got this one, 2, oops, I collapsed all of them like an idiot. This one we decided not to. This one I think I like, 2. We've got 3. So I'm just kind of counting them as we go here. 4, right? I like this one. I just kind of collect them here as we go. So we're saying this one of Tate, we retouched on the stream as well. A beautiful image. We added wallpaper here. Wanted some sort of a wallpaper, and felt that it was kind of needed a little something there. But oops. Oh yeah, by the way, that popped up. I landed a book cover. So I landed this Nora Roberts book cover. Amazing author. I put this on Reddit and got a lot of love up there. Nothing on Instagram, like 50 likes. But huge deal. Like I'm really blown away by that. So I'm a little excited. So this image of Tate is beautiful, but it doesn't have, it has storytelling, but it doesn't have any impact, right? It's just it's a beautiful woman laying in a bed. Okay. So we won't be able to go very far with that one, unfortunately. This one of Haley. Love this one. I think this one's growing on me quite a bit as a good image for competition. Oops, I'm losing my brains here. Where is it? There it is. And this one of Jennifer. Okay, so I've got 3 so far. The rest of these, we'll go through these a little quicker here. I have this one of Jennifer. We also retouched this in the stream. Or did we? I can't remember. But I just took this wall here and then pulled it out to add a floor, because our concrete floors in the studio are kind of ugly. So this is a way to kind of make it a little more interesting. So this has storytelling, but I don't know that it has a huge amount of impact. It's fine, right? I think this one is a pretty good image though, and it may do okay. It's not gonna win any awards, and that's the game I'm playing. Is I kind of want to enter to win, right? I don't just want to enter to merit or to score an 80 or better. I want to win, and so it becomes that game of what are your strongest images, and can you win the competition with them? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I think that these are pretty good. Okay, now it's a little more challenging. I've got this image of a body paint that I did a few months ago, and it's got impact, right? It's got a lot of impact. The black and white, very interesting, a lot of contrast, great catch lights, these big black contacts in her eyes. And then I did the body paint, which took me about 4 hours. It was a pretty quick paint. I actually didn't do much of her back. So I only have to do one side. And then I did paint all the way down to her feet. And then she came up with this great idea of using hot glue on her fingers and for a crown. So this background stamp is a bit strong. I'll probably knock that down a bit so it's not overly impactful, but it's got storytelling, it's got impact. The thing that's negative about this is black and whites in competition want to be black and white. If you tint them, they tend to get looked at funny. And I know that's a dumb thing, but I've seen it so many times now that if I enter this, I'm going to go back and remove any of the color grading. If we split the tone, for example, on this image, I cannot leave it like this because it will get docked. By the way, I will have to add a border to all of these images. When we enter print competitions, we always have to have a border around it. And you saw that when I was showing the images before, like this one here, we have to create that mat. Now I have a video on how I create a mat, and it's super fast but very flexible, so it allows me to go in there and quickly throw a mat on pretty much any image in 1 or 2. Actually, I could probably do it in 20 seconds, very quick. But something you can easily create an action for. But picking the color of the mat and picking the color of the little stroke that goes all the way around, or the pin line, that's a science unto itself. I've seen a lot of people lose points because the pin line is very bright or draws the attention. Same with the mat. Like I see a lot of very dark images with a very white mat, and I'm not a fan of that. I think it becomes a detraction. Like if you have to squint because the mat is so bright, I think you need to change the mat. Personally. So I love this image. I think this image is strong. It has a lot going for it. It's impact, storytelling, and so on. I just need to take the tint out of it. I need to knock this back a bit. So far, I think all of these are ones we've done on the channel, which is kind of cool. I'm glad that I'm able to share what I'm working on with everybody. I'm hoping everybody loves it and appreciates it. It's easy to click that like button, but a lot of people just don't do it, and that's the way you kind of clap to the internet, right? You say, "Hey, I really appreciated this," so click the like button. In fact, you should click the like button now. You should. Okay, let's play with a last. We need. I'm gonna do 2 more. I'm gonna need 1 more because I have one that I'm not done with yet that I want to enter. Let me talk about one I wanted to submit, but I'm not going to, and it's this one. I love the painterly feel of it. Beautiful woman, again, good figure to ground. We can see her body. Wedding dress, handmade wedding dress. Where this image falls down, and it's probably fixable, I just have to do it, is her hand is very discolored compared to the rest of her body. And it kind of looks like it's almost dead. It's got this weird, unhealthy color to it. So I would need to come back in and fix this color here. Otherwise, this image is very strong. In fact, I'm kind of convincing myself that maybe I would, that it is worth the time and trouble to do so. Because it is such a beautiful image, and I want to show this image more places, but this bothers me so much that I've kind of kept this image close to the vest. And it wasn't obvious to me initially. Like it took me a little while to notice what it was that bothered me about the image, but I love this painterly feel. I think this is a background I gave away as well. But I very, very strong image, but again, it's one of those I'm torn on. Like, can I make that arm look good? And that's the game I'm gonna play here. I got 1 more. Um, trying to figure out which one I want to do. I have this one of Cecilia where we touched on the channel. Uh, so images that are darker like this just don't tend to do well. I mean, as much as it's storytelling and impactful, some of the judges are just not fans of creepy imagery, and you may run into that. And it's not to say there's something wrong with the image, and that may seem unfair, but it's they're trained to judge good photography, and that's from a business standpoint. And images like this to clients aren't typical. So as much as it may be a great image and what have you, it's not going to do well in competition because the judges won't like it. This is Cecilia, by the way. We're going to be doing a shoot with her for the neon theme one. If you've been following Spyros Heniaitis' channel, the two of us were working on a neon themed shoot, and obviously COVID kind of bit down on us, but I've also been very busy, so it's kind of getting everything done, but that is coming up. So I'm going to be live streaming the shoot from the studio, and then we're going to be live streaming the retouching. And then that is all going to be very comic book-esque. So I'm thinking more along the lines of like, you're combining like your Matrix and your Trons and just like that whole feel to do something. So he went a different direction with it, and I love looking at what he's working on. So you should check out his channel. But we're not going to enter that image. It's a strong image, but it just doesn't. It isn't gonna go well with the judges. I also have some other pretty pictures. Like I have this one of Rachel that we retouched on the channel. Again, beautiful woman laying in a bed. Storytelling, yes. Impact, no, not really. We did add the wallpaper on the stream though. So it's again a beautiful image that she loves, but not one that is just going to do well in competition, unfortunately. And I think we're near the end here. I got one or two more. I got this one of Haley again, another piece of chainmail lingerie, because why not? I think I'm torn as to whether I like this one better than the other one. Where's the other one? Oh yeah, did I decide I wasn't going to enter that one? I can't remember. I think maybe I just kind of lost it here as I was working on it. Let me find it. Oh, there it is. This one here. So same girl, wig. She loves her wigs. Which one is the stronger image? And I tend to prefer the ones with the catch lights. So we'll have to, if we're going to enter this one, we'll have to add some catch lights to it. This image has a couple of issues, and I want to point them out because one of them is it's going to kill you a lot. And that is that the nose breaks the cheek line here. Now, this may seem like a trivial thing, but this will destroy you in print competition every single time. Just don't do it. Like if you have an image that's great, but the nose is broken the cheek line, and it's not a full profile, meaning we're not looking at the side of her head, don't do that. Like this image will not do well just because of that. So that pretty much ends that discussion. There's nothing we can do about it. It is what it is, and it's not going to fare well. And I think I scrolled down a bit here. So I'm just looking through stuff we retouched on the channel. I do have a couple that I wanted to enter. Let me find it here. We retouched it on the channel, and it turned out to be one of those images that is just so much impact. I'm having trouble locating it here. Here we go. This one. So we retouched this one on the channel, and I argued with this one again quite a bit. I knew what I wanted for the bird, and putting the bird in there was very simple. And then just dodging and burning it so that it looks like the lighting works. I love the impact. So the boot, and so you have to call it boots and birds to make it obvious that you meant for this to be large and in charge, because the first thing you're going to do is say, well, the boot is the dominant thing. Using your title to send that message to the judges is something that I do quite often. If I do enter this one, I will have to remove this strap from the wings. It's distracting. And this glare may or may not get love. Like I could see the judges not liking it because it is bright, but I also think that it adds a lot to the image. So I'm going to probably end up leaving it in there. But the rest of this is just a layer of a bunch of different backgrounds on top of each other. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to enter that one just because I want to see how far it goes. Like I really like it. And I think it has, again, a ton of impact. So this one is very strong. I kind of wanted to arrange these, but it's difficult because I don't have a lot of space on the desktop here. But I love that one. I have a couple others that were just kind of runners up. So I have this one This effect is interesting. It's just kind of something I'm goofing around with, but it just doesn't have a lot of zing to it. It's got some storytelling. It doesn't have a lot of impact. It's beautiful. The lighting is good. It might merit, but I think that there are other stronger images in here. And I have one more like that here. This one. And I love this one. I did this one for Seattle PPA. Did a speaking gig there talking about creating art from imagery. What's fun little fact, this is Angela, and her mother sent me an email saying, hey, I would love to get a print of that. How much would it cost? My print rates are they're not too expensive, but they're expensive. And I actually just sent it to her. It's like a thank you for raising such a great kid. So neat lady, and Angela's just an amazing person inside and out. So really love having her on. Hey, Peter, welcome to the channel. I'm a new subscriber. Yay. So I really like this. I don't know that it would do well in print competition because of the fact the feet have been obscured, and I could bring the feet back in. But I thought that it looked very awkward with the feet and then truncating down into this painted effect so quickly. I could be wrong, but I don't know that it would do that great. It's one of those, and I might just, if in a panic, I might throw it in there. I'm all about panic pictures. Like, you got 2 days before the print competition, you have no idea what you're going to do. This one is one of those I might decide to reach for. And I've got a couple of these other ones that nobody's seen these yet. These were done for a hair competition. This one has a color problem I need to fix, but there's a series of 5 of these, and each one has got its own little thing going on. And they're fun. They're different. I don't think they're strong enough for print competition, but I'm showing them to you just so you can kind of get an idea of sometimes you can really mess with the borders and play with that. They're just interesting. Again, I don't think they're strong enough for print competition. Maybe. I mean, it's print competition is so technical about everything that if you can't fill those shoes, then you can't really play that game. So I think that's